Yeah, so first of all, ever since I was little, everybody that I looked up to, you know, artist-wise was always bands. I always saw myself in a band, but just never really met anyone or never really, I guess, took the initiative or anything to find an actual band. So yeah, The Voice, I went on The Voice. It was a really great experience. It was really amazing. I met a lot of amazing people. It was a really cool experience, gained a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. And I did the solo thing for a little bit, but then I think I realized that it was just time for something new. I wasn't 100% happy with what I was doing, and I felt like it was just time for something new. And then shortly after, you know, right as the pandemic was hitting, then I met Ashley.
Yeah, so we realized we didn't live that far from each other, only a couple hours away, both in the same state, so it was really nice. Then we started jamming and realized there was this instant chemistry there, and you know, when you feel that sort of thing, it's really rare in a musical situation, so we just had to follow where our heart was taking us, and we were like, let's start a band, let's do this, and that's, I guess, where we began. A PSA was put out for looking for a female guitarist. Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm reposted it, and Bella came across it.
I literally scrolled across it on Instagram. I was, peak COVID, just on my phone, and I saw this thing about, an all-female band from New York looking for a guitar player. And so I figured it's a bit of a long shot, but close enough. And so I remember emailing my manager, immediately just introducing myself, and it was really one of those just kind of things I wasn't expecting to even hear back, but I would never regret not at least asking or reaching out. And then a few weeks later, we were all jamming together and filming the Hate music video. It happened so fast. It's crazy to think about.
It really did. I think it was one of those things where it's social media during the pandemic was kind of all that anyone had, really to be in touch and communicate with the rest of the world, you know what I mean? And it was a very tricky thing for artists too, especially ones that are just trying to come up and stuff like that. So, we really used it and tried to put out photos and at least put out, we announced our song Hate that was gonna come out. We would put out little videos of us jamming and practice and stuff like that to try to get the momentum going. And I guess since everybody was kind of at home, on the internet, thank God, it kind of just, I guess they saw that and hopefully it amped people up. But yeah, I think that's kind of why the pandemic, I look at it, at least for us, I think was a blessing and a curse in a way, So yeah, I would say that. I think really because social media was kind of the only thing that artists especially had at that moment.
Yeah, it was actually also from social media. I posted a bunch of covers on my Instagram and YouTube, and then they came across it and I sent them an audition video. And then I flew out for at my real audition in New York. We practiced there. We did my first show with them, which is the New York State Fair. And then after that, the rest is history. And yeah, now we're here now. It's been an amazing experience joining with them. These girls are like my sisters.
It's honestly, I feel like it's such a cool thing of just feeling that growth, and all of us feel it every day on tour. For a few years we've been, a direct support band or an opener for the opener, and it's been such an incredible experience and always so humbling to open for artists that we love and have looked up to forever. But definitely going on this headline tour, we're noticing this different vibe of you're saying, proving yourself in the clubs and playing those longer sets and coming to so many different cities we haven't been to yet. It's really been such a blast, and I love both, getting to open for bands and also do our headline thing for sure. It's always a blast.
Actually, to add to that, continue if you may.
It's incredible and completely mind-boggling to us that any of these shows are sold out or that people are coming to them, because when you go out on a headline tour like this, you don't know if it's going to be 10 people or I don't know, you just never know what to expect because we've never done it before. So it's just been really amazing to watch. It's been amazing to see openers every night for us and be able to support them and hang out with them the same way that the headliners have treated us so graciously. That's a part that I've been super excited about. So yeah, it's just been an amazing experience and we couldn't be more grateful. support it, and we're thankful to anyone who's come out to these shows.
Grunge kind of, I think, captures that classic, like, plush sound that I think, like, it's almost in the same vein as Hate, I feel like. And, you know, the song is also a heartbreak song, surprise. Yeah, it's basically just about, you still think about this person, and they hurt you, obviously, and you just are trying to do everything that you can to run away from having to think about that person and everything like that.
Gosh, it's crazy. I mean, for me, I'm a huge gear nerd, and I grew up working in my family's music store, so it was always like the coolest gear would come through and be like, oh my god, I would kill to have this. Or, you know, I feel like especially, I don't know, for any musician that's into gear, it's like you get, you know, a new guitar or whatever, and it's like, I love this, but I wish I could change this. Or for me, I'm always swapping out pickups or hardware, or, you know, getting all into that. And now, you know, getting able to work with, be endorsed by the companies I've been a huge fan of since I started playing when I was a little kid. It's definitely surreal getting to, you know, be in touch with Ibanez and ordering, you know, all the new RGs and stuff. And especially like Lady actually just sent us new amps that are killer that I'm obsessed with. So it's been so cool. We're also thankful for, you know, all the amazing companies that have been supporting us. It's definitely really humbling. It's surreal too, you know, just so many huge brands that we're all big fans of.
Wow, that's a crazy thing to even think about. I mean, when I was that age, I would go to concerts of all my favorite bands. I would try to meet my favorite bands, and when I did get to meet them, they were memories that I kept for life. I was just talking about this to Mariah last night about when I was 13 years old and I met my favorite band in 1975. It stuck with me until now. It's gonna stick with me forever. It was just such an amazing experience, and they did everything they could to make me feel comfortable and happy and respected. And that's all that we could want to do for the younger generation, is treat them how we were treated when we were in their shoes, and hopefully inspire them to do the things that we're doing and make them believe that they can do it just as we were made to believe that we can do it.
For all of us, like, especially like that first album in this EP, like, we all have memories of, you know, being 18 through 20 in the studio, just working all day. And I feel like in my head, I just think of the songs as that. And then I feel like it's, you know, you start playing these songs on the road and you hear people's stories of like how they were listening to parts of their lives. And I know for me, like, I associate albums with different phases of my life, but when I was constantly listening to like my favorite artists, and it's definitely so cool to hear that, and it means a lot to us, especially all of those songs coming from a really deep place and knowing that it's touching other people's lives. It's definitely really something, you know, very special to us that we all, you know, don't take lightly, for sure. And especially seeing like the live shows, we love how diverse the crowds are, because I feel like, again, it's like you don't realize the reach that our music has had until, you know, you're just playing a packed room and getting to see so many people's faces and interacting with them. Especially when we opened for Disturbed, that was one of the things that we would talk about like daily, of like how diverse their crowds are, and it'd be an arena packed with all generations, and it was so cool. Like everyone was there for the same reason, and that's something that we definitely all strive to have with our shows and our music.
I guess growing up, I listened to a lot of pop punk. I was going to like pop punk shows, and I love that like upbeat drumming style, like playing quick stuff with like a lot of energy. So I love seeing that in the crowds too, when you're playing high energy songs and they see the energy from you and it just gets put back into them. Then everyone's having a good time in the room. So I love a lot of that. I love also like heavier stuff, like System of a Down, some of the harder metal stuff, Slipknot.
Yeah, like for influences, I was really heavily influenced mainly by, number one, Amy Lee, my biggest vocal inspiration when I was like 10. And I first started singing, but then also Lizzie Hale. But as far as like riffs and stuff, I love Korn. Korn is like my all-time favorite band, and so I really love making riffs that are, you know, pretty like simple like that, just heavy. You know what I mean? That's what I really like to try and bring that, and I want to bring more of that.
Growing up, our heroes were Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Nickelback, Court, like all the Shrek guys, and then honestly, it was such an eye-opening experience for me. I mean, growing up in schools, I would play in jazz bands and stuff like that, and then actually right the same week as I joined PLUSH was when I started at Berkeley College of Music. I went there for a year. A lot of jazz, a lot of varied styles, ensembles, and classical, and really broadened my horizons a lot. And I definitely, from that whole experience, I really take a lot of inspiration from like Randy Rhoads, studying all these different styles and then putting it into your rock playing. It gives me your own voice, and seriously, kind of branching out beyond those power chords. And I'm sure it was fantastic too. But yeah, it's definitely, I think it's almost kind of like a melting pot of all these different styles.
I don't know if I quite have my roots anywhere. I grew up listening to Alice in Chains and Tears for Fears, but nowadays I still listen to a lot of that, but I'm listening to a lot of country, a lot of rap, a lot of funk pop. I'm all over the place. If you look at my most recently listened to, it's Rammstein, it's Morgan Wallen, it's Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, what is going on with this girl? So I don't really know. I think it's important because it all has to come from a place of passion than, like being a sellout. And I think that's what's cool about this newer generation of musicians, and I don't know, it's really inspiring to see everyone's kind of like, I'm gonna do this because I want to do it, not because I feel like I have to do it to make money, just because I feel like there's this thing in me that needs to do this because this needs to be out.
Definitely, it's funny because I feel like, especially on this past tour, we've been having these conversations of if it wasn't the four of us all together, it would be a very different story of how this is playing out. Like, I feel like it's almost this like gang mentality of like we all have each other's backs and we're all usually all together, at least two and two. I feel like that helps so much of like, none of us ever really feel alone, even though it is, an all-female band in a male-dominated part of the industry for sure. And I think, there's something important to be said about that, because it's like no matter what with art, the goal is to branch out and be yourself and finding, things that are different is what makes it interesting, for sure. And I think for all of us, none of us really went into it feeling discouraged because we're a woman. For me, it was like all my influences were male, and I didn't think anything of it. It was just like blinders on, I'm gonna be a guitar player, and that's kind of still the mentality. I just try to not even really think of it.
I love that you mentioned Chapel Roan, because everything that she's been doing, I've been completely obsessed with. Just, I don't know, there's something so different and refreshing about her. She's just so unafraid to be herself, and when I see someone like that, it really inspires me, because like you said, it's just, sometimes it can feel very isolating to be a woman in a very male-dominated industry, just how it is, and it can make the road really tough. It can make being in situations with other people just really tough because you're automatically looked at differently. So when you see someone doing stuff like that, it's like, I can do that too. Yeah. So I love her so much. I feel like it's a mix of both for me personally, because when I'm home, I'm not done up in, bell bottoms and high boots, and like I don't do my hair every day. I hope not everybody does. It would make me feel a lot better about myself. But
no, girl, I don't.
Something about like putting on something that makes you feel confident. I think this is why fashion is so important to me. It changes you. It changes your view of yourself, and it makes it easier to project that view of yourself in that moment to others. And it's weird for me, and especially whenever I put on shoes. I feel like I step into a part of myself, if that makes sense.
So excited about it. It's a project that came up about a dear friend of mine, Christopher Long, who's an author based in Florida, and he reached out to me because he knows I'm huge into vinyl, and he asked if he's coming out with a book, and it's 50 chapters, and each chapter is dedicated to a classic vintage record. And he has a bunch of different artists giving them commentary on their favorite records all throughout it. And so he reached out to me with the list. He was knowing my taste in music and stuff, he was like, pick out your favorites. And then so I, obviously kind of went on my spiel about, writing about Zeppelin 3 and Alice Cooper's Killer, and oh gosh, there's a bunch of, just going right down the list, is all these iconic records. It's cool to see how much of an impact it's had on so many generations. So I sent in all of those, and then he reached out to write the Ford because he was so, passionate about the project. So definitely was, such a treat getting to written anything, professionally ever, not since, high school English, but it was so much fun getting to write about, something I love doing, and something that's like always a hobby for me. Like vintage vinyl near me, or even on tour on off days, looking for record shops. So yeah, actually the book comes out May 23rd. It's going to be available on Amazon, and there's a bunch of updates on GarageSaleVinyl.com. And yeah, I know, it's so soon.
And it's called? I don't think you said the title.
A Garage Sale Vinyl.
I think there are a lot of parts, like, especially being home, that I think a lot of people, that people don't see, like, just the hangouts that I have with my family, or playing games, or, watching movies with my brother, playing video games, board games, all that stuff. Fishing, I fish a lot, and most of the time I don't share, where I'm going, or exactly what I'm catching, or whatever, or playing with my dog, or whatever, going on walks, going on hikes or whatever with my brothers, all that stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that I think.
Well, I think what's interesting about social media is people only see what the artist wants them to see. You can control that. It's like you can cut it off when you want to cut it off. You can curate it however you'd like. I'm not going to show a side of myself I don't want other people to see on my page, and I think every artist is like that. So I think if anything, it can be a weird, like, damaging thing going through comments and ripping yourself apart over that, but you can also use it as a very empowering tool to be like, this is the best parts of me, this is what I want other people to see about me, this is what I'm about, and I just think it's important to use it that way.
I guess we will find out in 37
I know.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine that.
That's like double my life.
I couldn't even imagine like where we are now, like 3 years ago.
I know, that's
to be honest.
It's like so much of it, all of it's been completely unexpected.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time we find out news about a tour, or we get to go record somewhere, work with certain producers, it's kind of like a push. Like it does not feel real at all. So to think about all the things that we're so grateful to have the opportunity to do in 3 years, it's hard to even know what the next few years are going to look like.
Yeah,
for sure. 40 years, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, I'll be 61.
So
I'll be 62.
That's crazy. I can't wait to be 61 because I want to have gray hair.
Yeah.
No, gray hair. I'm really excited.
Silver.
I'm really excited to have my gray growing. Like, I want to age, so I think that's what I'm most looking forward to.
You're gonna rock gray so good.
It's gonna be so fun.
That'll be the.
I want to be a grandma by 60.
Oh yeah.
All of us with our gray hair together. Celebration.
As a band, like, the biggest thing is inspiring that next generation for all of us. Like, seeing young kids in the front row last night, I know it just blew my night for sure.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Always.
And to think of, in the next generation, if one kid out of all of this feels inspired to pick up an instrument after seeing us, and we did our jobs. I think that's always the biggest thing for me, especially being in a female band. When you pass that torch.
I agree as well. I feel like I definitely see myself in those kids, especially like the drummer girl we met last night. She was 10 years old. That's when I started drumming. And I would go to concerts when I was a kid. I was like, oh, I just wish so bad I could play on those stages. Like, I just wanted it so bad. So I hope I can pass that up. We can all pass that on as well to the people we play to, the next generation, to keep the music going, keep it alive, and just inspire others.
Absolutely. And I would hope for sure, like, that our music has an impact, like you said, on people, and if whatever they are going through in their lives, they can take it and apply it to themselves, just like we do when we're all listening to music and whatever, I would hope that is the impact,
Any sort of positive impact on anybody, brought happiness or joy to anybody's day, that's what matters the most. Music or not.
Hey, my world is so disarrayed. I only see shades of gray.